Now that the audios and levels are fixed, oh, it looks like something happened. Oh, X isn't streaming right now. Hey, you guys, if you're watching online, make sure you hit share, subscribe, and get this message out there. Trying to get as many people to have these important conversations as possible. And if you're watching, take 2 seconds to share it because it doesn't cost you nothing to share it. So apparently we're down on X right now, but we are streaming everywhere else: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch. We're out here talking in your ear with the conversations you need to hear. Let's jump into it. Let's first start talking about some of the stuff that we've got going on right here in our city of Rochester, New York. And if you're just tuning in, you are listening to the #1 conservative talk show in New York State. Let's make it the whole country. This is The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. Now, here where I am, they're doing this stuff called traffic calming. And it's like a virus that's spreading and creeping slowly, that nobody asked for, nobody wants. And once it starts, it's hard to get rid of. I mean, it is so ridiculous. They're taking lanes that are 4 lanes, cutting them down to 2. You got streets that were 2 ways, cutting them down to 1. You got roundabouts popping up everywhere, speed bumps popping up everywhere, choke points popping up everywhere. And that's what it's about. It's about choking off the ability for you to be freely mobile. That's what it is. They don't want you to have freedom of mobility, and that's one of our God-given rights, but they're trying to limit that. Now, we should go in and do a deep dive someday on how driver's licenses are actually not something that you are supposed to actually need, and they aren't even something that the government should be issuing, but that's more of a longer conversation. But it was the start, and nobody ever challenged them on that. So now here we are. Now they're cutting down the streets. Now you can't drive. It's making it difficult for emergency vehicles to go down streets and all types of stuff. So they say it's about safety, but if you can't even cross the street because there's so much oncoming traffic, what are we doing? What are we doing? Who is it safe for? If you're not able to get an emergency vehicle down the street anymore, what are we doing? How is that safe? And they call it traffic calming because it's about slowing down the traffic. Well, I don't want the traffic to slow down. If anything, I think in most of the places, the traffic doesn't go fast enough. And I know people will be like, oh, well, what about safety, this, that, and the third? Yes, safety is extremely important. Safety is extremely important. But you have to understand, when they're starting to put all of this stuff up all across everywhere, why are they doing it? In the city that I live in, they've got this thing, they call it the, The zero future plan. And it's a whole bunch of rubbish, honestly. It's this program and project that they're using to try to make it so that you are not able to be freely mobile. They say that the intention is to stop accidents with like pedestrians and cyclists and stuff like that. But that's not really why they're doing the whole thing. And we know it and they know it, and they need to come clean about what the whole situation is. But the question is, can we have that very important conversation? This is what I encourage you guys all the time. When there are planning meetings and stuff for planning board or different programs and projects that are coming up in your city or town, you should go out to them as much as possible, or encourage other people to go out to them to get the details and the information on what's going on. Because a lot of times they're starting to push this stuff more and more places, and you won't even know until after it's done. Right now, in one of the suburbs out here, they were just getting letters in the town of Brighton, if you're listening to me here locally. Yeah, they were just starting to get letters out there talking about, oh, well, they're trying to cut some of the lanes down and add bike lanes and add some medians and all of this and all of that. It's all about freedom of movement, baby. It's all about restricting your ability to move freely and put the government in control of every facet of your life. Hit the like button, hit the share button, get this message out there. We need to be having these important conversations, and we need to get more people involved. If you're listening to us on the radio, make sure you tell your friends, family, and even your enemies to tune into the show, 2:30 to 4 p.m., Mondays on WRFZ 106.3. And if you're listening online, make sure that you hit the share button and get this message out there. Share it on your page, your friend's page, share it in some groups. Get this message out there. Now, as we have this serious conversation, it's important for us to remember the direction that our society is marching. I believe we touched on briefly last week that England is pushing the digital ID, and Keir Starmer, their prime minister, is all gung-ho about it. He's like, yeah, we're doing this, we're doing it now, and it's going to happen before the end of this parliament session. So I believe their parliament session ends before January this year. So that's crazy to me. And I don't know, drop it in the comments if you know exactly when England's parliament session that's currently in session ends. But that's ridiculous. They're pushing digital ID out there and they'll say you can't buy or sell without it or whatever the case is. And then you look at what's happening in England. You know, like people say, oh, what's happening here with the traffic calming isn't bad. It's not this, it's not that. I need you guys to take a more comprehensive look, because planning for cities and for municipalities and for localities is extremely important. And if the elite and non-local people are the ones in power of what's going on right where you live, they're going to do it the way that they want to do it. You think the majority of our people here want them to cut up roads and put in these medians and make it difficult for you to travel? Absolutely not. You look at what happened in New York City with those cameras to charge you an extra toll when you go into Midtown. That's crazy. So essentially what it is it's a area denial system where they want to keep the poors out of the more affluent neighborhoods in New York City. And look, you know, you don't got to like Trump, but Trump pushed to get that taken out, because who does it discriminate against? The same people that the Democrats say that they care about. The ones that are working class, the ones that are in poverty, you know, because the wealthy don't care about having to pay 15, 20 bucks a day to drive in the neighborhood or in that area, because they can do it all the time because they got money. That's not impacting them, but it does impact the person that has to travel into that nicer neighborhood for work. It does impact the person that's traveling goods and doing commerce there. It does impact them. It does impact businesses. But that's what they're doing on a larger scale, more and more places. Now, I use that as an example because they called that, what did they call it? They called it, they said they wanted to, it was something for the metro, they were saying it was. I'm not able to recall off the top of my head. If you recall, pop it in the comments. Yeah, so they were like, oh, well, yeah, it's just going to change some of the stuff and make stuff more money for the metro and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, that sounds crazy. And what it really was is it was like in England, going back to England and their digital ID. They've got this thing, it's called ULUTZ in Europe. It's called ULUTZ, ULEZ, okay? And go look it up. It's very important that you look it up so you understand. Ultra low emission zones, where they talk about, oh, well, it's because there's too much pollution and carbon and stuff like that. Ah, that's what it was. It was called congestion pricing in New York City. Because they're like, oh, there are too many cars on the road, this and that. So we need less cars on the road. So we're going to charge you more for the cars. Listen. And then in England, they've got it where it's called ultra low emission zones. And they say that, oh, well, it's about the emissions. So to protect the environment and stuff like that. That's nothing but the impending carbon tax, you guys. Go look that up. It's nothing but an impending carbon tax where they're going to tax you on how much you drive, on what type of vehicle you have, what food you ate last night, and all of this and all of that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, that Marcus, that sounds like a lot. They're not going to do that or whatever. Whenever somebody tells you that the government wouldn't do that, you tell them, oh, yes, they would. And there are tons of examples throughout history when our government has done shady, shiftless, and shisty stuff. You know, and going back to the Keir Starmer and the digital ID thing that they're pushing there, they're like, oh, you won't be able to work anywhere, and you will even have your shopper club points on there. Are you serious? That sounds like the mark of the beast, you know? If it's not, it's ushering in it. Like you can't work and you can't spend your money without one. Like what's going on? I read the book of Revelation, and it's right in there. It tells you right there what it is. So what we have to do is do everything that we can to push back now, because there might not be a later to push back against this. There might not be a later. That's why I encourage everybody to stand up now while we still can and spread this message. Hit the share button, hit the like button, get this message out there. It doesn't cost you anything. And drop a comment, even if it's just a wave or a high five or a thumbs up or whatever. All of the comments help kick the algorithm to show it to more people. This is a very important conversation as we march to this digital ID, as they do this ultra low emission zones, as they do this congestion pricing. You have to understand that you are the carbon that they want to eliminate. It's not about saving the environment. It's about getting rid of humans and controlling humans. The more control they have over your freedom of movement, as we mentioned earlier, okay, the more control they have over where you can work and what you can buy and what you can sell, okay, the more control they have over you. I was on a radio show earlier, Evan Dawson, catch that episode today, where I am in Rochester. Check that out. But I was on there earlier and somebody had brought up universal basic income, and they're like, oh, well, they're doing a basic income thing here in Rochester. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds nice, but it's not addressing the issues. And it's going to cost us more money if we put in basic income. And it's not even universal basic income. Now it's guaranteed basic income because they don't want to give it to everybody now, even though it's supposed to be for everybody, because that's the concept, universal basic income. Everybody gets it. Now they only want to give it to certain select people. I got a lot of thoughts on that and a lot of words for it. But more so than anything, they don't have anyone that they can use to pay for that. Like, where's the money coming from? I was talking about that on the radio with him. And I was like, yeah, man, these people that are saying that, oh, well, we can do universal basic income, where are you going to get the money from? Taxes are already high. People are already having an incredible level of expense and hardship actually getting their taxes in order for their properties. And at the same time, we've got all of these large developers buying up all of these properties downtown and stuff like that in Rochester. And what? And they get a ton of tax breaks. Well, why don't we have those tax breaks for first-time home buyers? 5 years tax abatement if you buy a new home. How about that? How about we look into a plan for that? Because if you're going to give it to the major people, why not give it to the regular people? But again, these are important conversations that we need to have, thoughts that need to be exchanged, and things that need to be talked about. We must stand up. It's too big of an issue for us to neglect right now. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not. Listen, you got to listen to what these people are saying. I was just on a radio show and the guy brought that up in the conversation. Now let's go through universal basic income and this new ridiculous guaranteed basic income and why it's not able to work, because you got to raise the taxes. Where's the money going to come out of? Thin air? How are we going to get the money? You guys, we have to be realistic. If we're going to propose programs and stuff like that, we got to have a source for the money. Like, the majority of the people in the city, like, they say, oh, well, it's 33% is below the poverty line. That's bogus. It's more like 50 something to 60% of people are below the actual poverty line, because we all know that if you work, let's just say you get paid $20 an hour, you work like 40 hours a week, you're making like $40,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? Is that really enough to live off of? Can we really have a real conversation? And then people be like, oh, well, we need to increase the minimum wage. Really? Okay. Again, how? Do you plan on doing that and keeping small businesses and mom and pop shops open? Explain it to me like I'm 5. And then you'll get those socialist and communist people that come out of the woodwork and they'll say, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're actually going to close down small businesses because of the increase in minimum wage. Then they just shouldn't be open. Excuse me? Who are you to make that decision for that business owner? These are the conversations that are not being had. And it's very, 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 very frustrating. But it's more so than just the impact on small businesses. When the prices increase for minimum wage, then you start to get increases in all other types of goods because the people have to get paid more. So that money's got to come from somewhere. So that increases the cost of the actual goods. It's a serious, serious issue. It's a serious issue because what we need is deflation right now. We need deflation. And I know everybody's like, oh, we got to get inflation under control. Inflation is down, all of this, all of that. I don't care about any of that. I want deflation. I want the value of my dollar to be worth more. You know, what you used to be able to buy 10 years ago, just 10 years ago, for $1 versus what you can buy now, it's not even remotely the same. That's why all the dollar stores are closing. Like, we need to have a serious conversation about that. But nobody wants to. And that's the problem. Drink water, stay hydrated. So, as we have this conversation, you guys, it just frustrates me so bad to watch what's going on and to see how oblivious people are because they hear these things that sound good and really they're debilitating. You know, they're completely against the necessity of what the people actually need. So disgusting, it makes you want to spit. And this is the problem. With what we got going on right now, we are not able to physically afford the push for all of this nonsense. We need deflation. The value of the dollar needs to be worth more. It's that simple. But they'll tell you, oh, well, if the value of the dollar is worth more, it'll hurt trade. So what? So what? If it'll hurt trade, I don't know why we're getting all the stuff that we got from other countries anyway. That's the reason why we're in the bad shape that we're in now. But more so over than that, if it's going to hurt other foreign countries to increase the value of my dollar, and now my spending power is much larger, they can kick rocks. I'm not sorry to say it. Oh, Canada got hurt feelings? Sucks to be Canada. Russia got hurt feelings? Sucks to be Russia. Argentina got hurt feelings? Sucks to be Argentina. I honestly do not care. If we're not putting America first in our nation, then what are we even doing? See, and this is the big conversation that needs to be had, excuse me. What are we doing? Really? Let's be honest. Let's go back into the well, there's just so much to talk about. But let's go back into the housing issue, right? So where I live, there is a massive amount of properties that are being bought by outside retailers. Or I shouldn't even say retailers, I should say commercial lenders that aren't even local. Can we have a conversation about that? Why are we not doing anything to stop that? Like, this is real serious stuff. And it's so frustrating. I listen, you guys, I don't know what to tell you, anything to tell you exactly what to do or whatever the case is, but I know I can tell you the truth. And the truth is that the direction that we're going is not very beneficial for the majority of the Americans. And it's scary. It's really scary because you got these people that love to talk about things like, oh, well, communism is good. Communism is great. Well, where are you going to get the money from? Well, we don't know. We've got plans. We got this. We got that. Yeah, but you're going to have to give everybody free food and free parachutes and all of that. Like, are you really being serious? Like, we're not being serious. We're really not being serious when it comes to this type of stuff. And I'm going to tell you why. Because lately, how can I say it? I'm trying to keep it simple and not go too over the edge here as far as thought process if you're just tuning in and you're just finding out about these types of things. Let me switch gears a little bit and let's take it in this direction. So we know that machines and mechanized devices are taking a lot of jobs, and they already have. Well, it's accelerating at a much higher rate now more than ever. And what's being done about it? Nothing. Nothing's being done about it. So the machines are taking the jobs. You're talking about you want to raise minimum wage. Who's going to hire? This is a question. Who is going to hire these people? Because somebody's going to have to pay the taxes, right? So if the people aren't working, they can't pay the taxes. If they can't pay the taxes, then the taxes go unpaid. But I guarantee you, the city, the state, and the federal government will still go and collect all of the money that they possibly can from you. They'll squeeze you until you're blood dry, and they don't care. But all of this can be solved by very simply making sure that when we are talking about in our city how we can move forward, that we are always talking about monetary policy. I know some people laughed at me and said, oh, well, a universal basic income is great and fantastic, but then you become essentially an indentured servant to the government. Do we really want that? Is that what we really want nowadays, to be an indentured servant to the government? Answer me truly, like, what is going on even? Nobody can tell you because nobody really cares. And again, I know I keep reiterating this, but you matter to me. That's why I'm speaking up about this stuff. I'm not doing it for posterity. I'm not doing it for, I guess, to get rich or anything like that. But what it is our economy is being hurt by terrible monetary policies. Our state is being hurt by ridiculous spending. Okay? Listen, you might say, okay, well, what's the solution? Hold on, we got to do this real quick. Thank you guys for tuning in. You're listening to The Divide on WRFZ 106.3. We are here in your ear with everything you need to hear. Tuesdays, 2:30 to 4 p.m. Make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe if you're online, and share this out to more people. So, as we have this very serious conversation about the direction that we're heading, we need to bring in the AI. We talked about it briefly for a couple of seconds, but you got people like Sam Altman from ChatGPT. You got Elon Musk from, what is his thing called? I guess it's, I don't know exactly what it is. I guess technically it's Tesla, So we got that. We got, what is the one for Jeff Bezos? I don't know. Well, Blue Origin is a company, but they've got like these satellite array of spectrum analyzed and controlled different pieces of equipment. So I'm not sure exactly how we deal with the specialized equipment that's being pushed on these jobs right now. Again, everything goes back to monetary policy, you guys. And I know it seems like I'm jumping around here a lot, but I'm not. Because everything goes back to how much things cost, how much goods cost, how much services cost, how much things cost you in your everyday life. And whenever the government says that they're going to open up a new program or start a new program or do more, we have to pay for it. And it's going to come out your pocket some way. They say that taxation is theft, and it is 100%. But also, the biggest theft that you'll ever witness is the continued theft by poor monetary policy that comes out of the Federal Reserve. Okay? Like, and the Federal Reserve isn't even a real bank. Like, they're a private institution. They're just like joined at the hip with the United States. Let's how can I say this? I really want to, and I know I don't want to jump around so much, but I really do want to paint a very clear picture for you when it comes to monetary policy. The Federal Reserve is not even a government entity. It is a completely privatized bank, and the money that comes from the Federal Reserve is actually issued from the U.S. Treasury, which is our money. So they tell the Federal Reserve tells the Treasury to print up money, which is our money, and then they sell the money back to the treasury. Make it make sense so that they can make interest on it. And like all bankers, you know how that works. The bankers make the money and the people suffer. And then they wonder why people are mad. Poor monetary policy is crushing us all. Look at how it's doing businesses. People don't have enough money to spend. Again, because the price of the dollar is worth way less than it used to be. What happened? Poor government policy. Government policy that's reaching into every facet of your life. Where you eat, what you buy, how you dress, what you dress with, what you wear, all of this is impacted by policy. As we're talking about money, look at the cost of food and stuff. If you're here where I live in New York State, I was talking to somebody earlier about this, about all of the fruit production and beef production that we do here. Well, guess what? Not anymore. Because the state assembly and the state senate have seen fit to pass a whole bunch of laws, making that essentially impossible to do. Be a small business? No. You can't be a small business. Because if you're a small business, that means that you're going to have to pay somebody whatever the prevailing wage is now. Say it's $25 an hour, and let's just say it's you and your wife at a store, and it's essentially a family business. Now, how much is it going to cost you to bring somebody in at work? So to bring somebody in at work, it's going to cost you about 1.5 to 2.5 times whatever that person is being paid. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, these giant companies, they make so much money, this, that, and the third. Then why are you crushing the small man? In New York State, the policies with the beef and with the fruit are so bad that they've pushed so many farmers out of New York State. They've shut down a ton of farms because of New York State. You guys, sometimes it's very frustrating and it makes me upset, and I have to take a breath because I want to give you guys hope. Because now more than ever, we need hope that we can make a real difference. And you have to start asking yourself, where can you as an individual make a difference? And it starts right at home, right in your own backyard. Whether you go to a city council meeting or whether you go to a local committee meeting of the party that you're based in. You know, we have to get active because nobody's going to do it for us. Now, I want to go back to small businesses and the impact that the continued increase in costs have on small businesses and employment. So if the small businesses go out of business and they can't employ the people they're employing anymore, or they're not able to compete with bigger box retailers at even all, so now they have to give up a lot of their customers or a lot of their help to these much larger corporations. And then people complain about how much the larger corporations are paying or how many hours they're working there or this or that or whatever. And they're complaining. And then you get these communists that come along and promise them everything, that they're going to take the money from everybody else and they're going to give it back to the individual. And that's always a lie. Every single time. It's a complete lie. And you should be very skeptical of anybody that says that, how can I say it? Let's break it down like this, right? If business is the backbone of our society, especially small business, which is something like 87% of employees in the nation are put through by small businesses, less than 250 people. If that's the case, and small businesses are being moved out because of the increase in minimum wage or because they're not able to compete with larger companies and stuff like that, are these people that are telling you that there's this utopian dream of communism or socialism really doing right by you? Question mark. Like, that's a serious question. Serious question. You know, it gets very, very frustrating and it makes me kind of upset. And I don't want to like go off, you know, because It gets frustrating, but this is why I always encourage you, get active locally, because nobody else is going to do it for us. And you can do it and let other people know what's going on. People care more than you know. But when you start peeling back that onion, like we were just talking about monetary policy and the Federal Reserve, how it's not even any money that they're giving to us, it's the money that they've essentially stolen from the American people, from the US Treasury, and they're loaning it back to us. You know what I'm saying? That's like extortion, you guys. Like, but can we ever address that? Where's all the gold in Fort Knox? Did we ever check on that? Like, what's really going on? Can we have some real conversations here? Please hit the like button, hit the share button, get it out there. It doesn't cost you anything. These are the important conversations we need to have. So important. So crucial. And I'm going to come back to this in a couple of minutes, but I did want to get to a couple of other topics. But again, this episode is about a whole bunch of stuff that you just aren't able to talk about. And when you start to talk about it, people are like, oh, well, you're outside your mind, or that's not a real thing, or whatever the case is. It always is a thing. It always is a thing. And to bring it into perspective, we talked about the digital ID. We talked about monetary policy. We talked about the ultra low emission zones and the congestion prices. We talked about the issues with the trade and stuff like that, and all of the production being overseas. We talked about the inability of people to pay for housing and the fact that people are being taxed out the wazoo. We talked about all of these things. Now we have to start connecting them together, right? We have to start connecting them together, because it might seem disjointed, but they all are dots that all connect together, you know? And when you start connecting all the dots, it kind of looks like some sort of a star, like a pentagon or some evil something, because it's got all of these points and it's making evil on the people. You know, somebody just dropped a comment. Let's see. Keep your head up. Thank you. Thank you, Alfredo. I appreciate you. Yeah, brother, I'm out here trying to inform the people of what's really going on and get the message out there. Please share this video. So as we have this conversation about all of these different points on this dartboard that is what's going on in our nation and in the world, especially the Western world right now, we have to start seeing who benefits, right? Who benefits from getting rid of the small businesses? We talked about it briefly. Well, the big giant businesses do. Walmart, Amazon, you know, all of the big giant companies. You got inside the government right now with all of this surveillance stuff and all of the AI stuff. You got people like Sam Altman. You got Larry Ellison. Go look those guys up. Crazy insanity there. Go look up them and what they have to say about AI and humans and stuff like that. It's insane. And the Antichrist. Go look that up with them. It's crazy. And they talk, and Larry Ellison is real big on talking about the Antichrist. And it's just insane. These are the people in charge of the surveillance and AI systems. So you start putting those pieces together and you say, okay, wait a second. They don't want you to drive anywhere. They've done everything that they can to push up the cost of food through policies. So, and I didn't even bring up the fact that they control all the water. Like, let's not even talk about that. That's the next big thing. But they control the food, they control the water, they control the ability for you to have freedom of mobility. They control all the surveillance. So they're watching you on the internet, they're listening to you on the phone, they're tracking your whereabouts on the text messages and everything. And people say, oh, well, it's your phone, so you don't have to worry about that. Well, but now there are states that are pushing this online identification verification. Now, you guys know I'm not very big on pornography. I think that it's destroying our society, right? It's one of the biggest factors that's destroying our society. And it's not just like naked pornography and graphic sexuality that's the problem. It's also the music, you know, the ear porn. It's also that, okay? Not actual ear porn, but, you know, the audio pornographic situations that are put into music nowadays. Like, so while I am against porn, I am not for them saying that, oh, well, you have to have your ID online and put it in all the time. Why is that? And you'd say, well, why is that, Marcus? And it's very simple, because it's being used as an implement to track you. and to tie all of those things together to push for a digital credit score, to push for what they're doing in England, which is the digital ID. And all of it goes down to 15-minute cities. Go look up that. Okay, don't believe me because I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm telling you. I'm going out of my way to tell you. Please look these things up. It's very crucial. And it's happening everywhere in all of our major cities. That's why I started using Rochester as an example where I live. You know, the housing crisis, this is all done on purpose. It's all intentional. It's the erasure of the dollar and the devaluation of the dollar because they don't want you to be able to live independently of the government, because the tighter reins that they have on you, the more control that they have over you. You understand? So now they've got it where they want you to put the ID in to look at pornography, but it's not just porn. They want you to connect it to your Facebook account. They want you to connect it to your Instagram. Facebook tried to pull this nonsense a couple months ago, and people were up in arms about it. But now it's being pushed in England. I mean, England and the rest of Europe, the EU. Now it's being pushed over there. Now they've got this whole thing where you can't do anything online unless you log in with your ID in England. I mean, in the European Union. Like, can we have these serious conversations? Because what's going on over there is surely to come over here. They're just working the angle a little bit different and doing the processes a little bit different because they got to take the guns. They got to take the guns. That's why they're always pushing all of this. Oh, guns are bad. Oh, all of this is bad. All of this is bad. Listen, people, we got to wake up and we got to understand what's really being done. Here in my city, for instance, we got it where you can't have a firing range inside the city. Why can't you have a firing range inside the city when the state keeps putting in more ridiculous laws, making it more difficult for people to train freely? You know, you got to do all of these hours of qualifications and all of this shooting practice and stuff. Why can't we have that in the city? You look at all of the neighborhoods that are the most heaviest impacted by crime, they're in the city. Why are we not able to train to protect ourselves in the city? Because it's about control, you guys. It's all about control. And if they can make it more difficult for you to own a firearm, if they can take away the firearms, if they can make you lock up all the firearms, if they can make you register all the firearms, they know what you got, they know what you don't got, and then they can come down and put that boot on your neck. It is coming if we do not stand up now. Let's see, we got a comment. Somebody just came in. Who's commenting? Let me see. Alfredo says, all is biblical, but yes, that's why we as people have to speak up. Like you said, they have digital ID here, palm scanners, water control, etc. Yeah, that's everything that I was talking about, Alfredo. That's everything that I was just talking about. And this is what I'm trying to get out to the people so that they understand how serious this stuff is. So if you're listening to us online, hit the like button, hit the share button, share it out there. It doesn't cost you anything. Send it to your friends in text messages. Tell them to tune into the show. You know, make sure you're following my YouTube, the Marcus C. Williams channel. Okay. And this is important because nobody else is really having these comprehensive conversations. I'm telling you, all of these things are interconnected and woven right together, and it's all about control. Now, let's put in that whole pot that we're putting together, let's put in the abortion situation. Oh, no, you can't talk about abortion. No, nobody can talk about abortion because everybody loves their abortion so much. Why? Who's pushed that, right? Like, it goes back to the porn. It goes back to the music industry. It goes back to this stuff that they've been pushing on us for years. Why? Because abortion is about control. It's not about freedom. And they'll say, oh, well, it's about medical stuff and medical rights and stuff like that. It's not. It's about baby murder. It's about baby murder. Let's call it what it is. Let's be straight. Whether you support it or don't support it, that's your own personal prerogative. But we're not going to sit here and pretend that it's not murder. And the purpose of the whole situation is because they want you not to have children. And then it also has psychological knock-on effects, which there's no aftercare for abortion. Makes you wonder why there's no aftercare. All of these states, all of these Democrat-run places that say that they care about abortion so much, there's no aftercare. Why is there no aftercare when we know that that is one of the most emotional situations that a female can ever go through? Why is that? Hello? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's part of a bigger, more comprehensive plan. It's all about control. First, they tell you to get rid of the babies. Now in New York State, they're like, get rid of the elders. Again, like I said in the beginning of the show, you are the carbon that they want to eliminate. The less people there are, the less freedom of mobility there is, the less ability you have to own a firearm and fight back, the more control that they have over the water, the more control that they have over the internet, the more control that they have over your ability to have energy, okay? The more control they have over you and the less power you have to stand up against them and do anything. And that goes right back into the universal basic income. If the government is giving you money, they can tell you where you can spend it, how you can spend it, what you can't spend it on, and when you can't spend it, and they can automatically take it from you. Let's see, we got another comment coming in. And you guys keep the comments coming, and pop your comment up. Okay, it's John Ben Road. He says, they want to control the population. That's exactly it. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's all about the controlling the population. You know, and people used to say, oh, well, population control, that's just a conspiracy. Of course it's a conspiracy. What do you think? It's one person doing it by themselves? You know, conspiracies are when 3 or more people get together and they plan something. That's all a conspiracy is. And that's exactly what's going on. You mean to tell me that all of these people that used to work for PayPal, Sam Altman, Larry Ellison, what's the other guy's name? I forget his name. But Elon Musk and the rest of them, you mean to tell me that they're all in similar fields as far as controlling different aspects of society, and they don't know what it's hitting for? They're not all in it together. They don't know what's best for themselves. You know, what happens is you see a lot of people say, oh, it's the billionaires. It's the billionaires. The billionaires aren't paying their fair share. It's got nothing to do with the billionaires not paying their fair share. It's got everything to do with a very small minority of these people that are the ultra wealthy that are controlling and manipulating society on scale. Because when you got more money than God, you're going to act like you a God. And that's what they're doing. They're puppeteering humanity as a whole, and we need to stand up. That's what we got to do. We got to stand up and we got to push back. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, Marcus, you're being very serious about that. I don't think that we have a lot of time left. Let me be honest. You know, I'm sure I'm on a number of lists for a number of things that I've said over the years. Because I really believe in our country. I believe in individual sovereignty. I believe that our rights come from the Lord, our Father in heaven above, and those God-given rights are not to be infringed. And that's why we have the Bill of Rights in our Constitution. That's what the founders laid out for us. But we can't have those serious conversations, because when you start to have those serious conversations, everybody's got some excuse for this or excuse for that, because they want to take away personal responsibility. They want to take that away, because if you have personal responsibility, if you have personal liberty, if you have the ability to live freely and without being under the thumb of the government, then they're not a bother. They have less control over you. But these people are power hungry. They're control hungry. You know, you say, oh, well, all of these billionaires don't need all of their money and they can be sharing their money with other people. It's not about the money, you guys. It's not about money. It's about power and control. Every dollar that they have is about power and control. You're looking at it differently because we don't have that level of money. When you have that level of money, you realize, like when you start to learn about wealth building and financial literacy and stuff like that, they'll say you got to have your money work for you, right? But when you're ultra wealthy, it's about moving people on the board like they're pawns to whatever tune that you want to move them to. And right now, the ultra wealthy want more control over the people because they see that people are starting to wake up. We got a comment here. Let's see. We got another comment. Let's see who commented. John Bembretero commented. He said, they also want to control where the population lives. John, you came in a little behind, but we were talking about that with the 15-minute cities. Go look that up, y'all, if you're just tuning in. The massive building of apartments in this area is to pull population together to make it easier to control. That's absolutely what it's about, John. That's absolutely what it's about. And this is what we're speaking on right now, because we got to wake more people up. You know, like I'm running for city council right now because I want to do everything that I can to slow this down. I don't know that we can stop it, but I know that I can slow it down. And I'm going to do everything in my power and control to slow it down as much as possible. I'm fighting for not just the soul of our nation, but the future of us as humans. But the future of us this is a momentous point in society. And let's talk about these No Kings protests, because again, all of this stuff ties in together. Now, I talked about I made a post on my Facebook, on my personal Facebook, about the No Kings protest, saying that it's really against, it's an anti-Christian thing. Specifically, it's about anti-Jesus, right? Because Christ is king, because the Lord our Father is the King of Kings. He is the Most High. And that's what they're really pushing back against. All of this anti-human nonsense, all of this kill the babies, all of this kill the elders, all of this stuff. It's about the elites being able to stay in power and spit in the eye of God. Now, if you're not picking up what they're putting down, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm trying to put you on right now. You know how Jay-Z said, I'm trying to give you $1 million worth of game for $9.99. You know, like this is real stuff. Now, as somebody else made a comment, who said a comment, Sound Mountain, it's not about politics. It's about society being broken up into little pieces right now. There's no unity. Exactly that. Because it's about control. And that's going into what we're talking about, right? What we're getting ready to talk about right now with these No Kings protests. These No Kings protests, you guys, I know everybody's so fond of them. Okay. Like, oh, well, it's anti-Trump. It's not anti-Trump. It's a way for them to divide us over nonsense. Okay. No kings. Who's a king? There are no kings. There are no kings. The only king is Christ. Christ is king. That's it. Jesus is on the throne. My God still lives. Okay. Like that's what it is. But this no kings nonsense, it's not about Trump. Don't let them distract you. Okay. Who do you think is funding these things? You know what I'm saying? Like you look at the people on these different flyers. It's the Communist Party that, the Socialist Party this, Indivisible that, 5150 or was it 505001 or whatever it is, that nonsense. All of these different groups, the alphabet people of the supporting Palestine, the alphabet people that love to salsa dance on the weekends. I don't know, just weird stuff. But read the posters, read these things. All of these things are promoting things that are anti-God, that are anti-cohesive society, that are anti-individualist, but at the same time, somehow still separating us at the same time. Because what unites us in America and generally as humans is that we have freedom and autonomy over ourselves. You know, like when it comes to the abortion and stuff like that, they'll say, oh, well, it's about bodily autonomy. Is it? Because I remember during COVID when they were forcing people to take them shots or they get fired from their job or the kids couldn't go to school or this and that and the third and da 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 da. I remember during COVID that they had people calling on people and their families because they have more than 2 people at Thanksgiving. Let's not forget that happened. And those are the same people out here talking about, oh, Trump is bad, Trump is bad. I remember when you guys were informing on people to the government about having more than 2 people at Thanksgiving. And you talking about Trump something. Don't talk to me about no Trump nonsense when you were the one that was informing on your neighbors and stuff over having more than 2 people at Thanksgiving. Shut up. You were the people that were out there chasing people out of the malls and out of the supermarkets for not wearing a mask because they would not comply when even Fauci got on the TV and said that them masks don't do anything. They're nothing more than a talisman. That's out of Grand Dr. Fauci's mouth. You understand what I'm saying? Trust the science, but only when it's convenient. What it is they don't want you to trust the science when it points you back to God. Hello. They want to manipulate the science so that it leads you away from the Lord. But the more that you listen to more knowledgeable scientists and stuff like that, they say that science always points you back to God. There are so many scientists who love science that start off as atheists and then they come to Christ because of the amazing things that they learn and see in science. But can we have that conversation? We got to comment. Hit the comment, hit the share button, get this message out there, share it with everybody you can. Let's see. John says, not letting people go to church. Yes, John, not letting people go to church during COVID. Can we talk about that? But they want to say that Trump is a tyrant. Trump is a king. I remember y'all didn't let people go to church. Churches were shutting down, bending the knee to the government. Why are you guys bending the knee to the government? Who runs the government? The elite. And I'm not one of those people that's what do you call them people? An anarchist or anything like that. I just want the government to stay out of people's lives as much as possible and leave people alone and stop charging them so much taxes. Stop taxing us out of existence because, again, taxes is just another form of theft. Tax is just a form of control. You know, it's like when they say about fines, right? Fines are just the cost that you have to pay when you can afford to pay it, right? Like, so if you're really wealthy and they hit you with fines for speeding, you just pay it and you get off, you know? But if you're poor and you speed by mistake and they fine you, that might be the end of your livelihood. So these are conversations that we need to have of all of these forms of control as the government continues to expand its power while it continues to snatch back more and more of your individual liberties and individual freedoms. And I know we got into some really heavy topics today, but this is what's really been weighing down on my heart to share, because I don't listen, you guys, with this impending AI revolution that we're having right now, I need to talk to you about what Kramer said. Now, if you guys don't know who Kramer is, I'm not talking about Kramer from Seinfeld. I'm talking about Kramer from, was he on MSNBC, you guys? Somebody help me out with what channel he's on. He's on, what was it? He used to be on the Squawk Box too, right? I think it's MSNBC. But anyway, so he does all of these predictions on what's going to happen to the stocks and stuff like that. And homeboy is always wrong. He is wrong so much, they call it the Kramer inverse. So whatever he says, it's the opposite. Okay? So the other day, he said, yeah, everything's great. The stock market's going great. Everything's going to be fine. There won't be a recession next year. Lord have mercy, y'all. Why did he have to say that? That means that we most likely going to have a recession next year. But on top of him saying that, we've also been having a number of different people, like Jamie Dimon has said that. We've also had a number of people that are in the stocks and technology sectors and stuff like that, saying stuff like that. And they're saying that the AI stocks are overblown and they're going to crash. And a lot of people are going to lose all of their savings and stuff like that. And we talked, I think 2 weeks ago, about what's happening with the dollar and the digitalization of the dollar and how they're going to crash the dollar, and they're going to use that crash of the dollar to usher in more digital currency, and they're going to peg their currency to gold, and then they're going to readjust the cost of the value of the gold that we actually hold in the country. Okay, this is why we need to go into Fort Knox and see what's going on. But they're probably going to pull a David Copperfield anyway and use magic to make it look like it's more than it is, or whatever the case anyway. But this is why we need to pay attention to what's going on. That's why gold prices are going through the roof, y'all. Like, we are being played. And because they've got us so distracted with no kings, we don't realize that the elites, which are essentially kings, are around here running these people, running them amok. You got people out here dancing and stuff inside inflatable dress-up costumes. How am I supposed to take that seriously? I'm supposed to take that seriously? You're doing a protest, you're dressed up like the people from the Land of the Lost or the Land Before Time. Or was it the Land of the Lost? Yeah, I think it was the Land of the Lost, was the little kids dinosaur movie. You know? Like, this is crazy. Like, what is going on? Like, it is literally, we used to say, oh, well, it's like Clown World. No, it's going beyond Clown World. It is a full-on circus outside right now. It's not even a 3-ring circus. We got like a 9-ring circus, okay, going on. It's crazy outside right now. It's so crazy. Drop a comment, hit the share button, hit the like. It don't cost you nothing, and get this message out there. Let's have real conversations, because this stuff is important to have a conversation about, and it's all interwoven together. They're out there now. You think that this, look, we got a government shutdown right now, and I'm going to tie the government shutdown into this too. Somebody ain't going to like it, but whatever. You're not going to like everything that I say anyway. But just know that I'm telling you because it's important to tell you and let you know what time it is. Whether you want to take the time to understand what time it is or not, I'm telling you because I care. Okay? Don't believe me because I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm telling you. I'm going out of my way to tell you. So now we look at this shutdown right now. Now, I see it the way that it really is. It's a game against the people. You think the Senate is hurting? No. You think the House of Representatives is hurting? They ain't hurting. They still getting their checks. Their checks are still coming in. You think the Democrats hurting? No, they getting their checks. Okay, the Republicans got a whole clean CR. That's a continuing resolution. Y'all know me, I'm not a fan of continuing resolutions. We need a full comprehensive budget. I believe shut the whole government down until we get a full budget, but that's not what they're doing. The Democrats have shut down the government so that they can push for more funding for illegal aliens. Then Chuck Schumer had the audacity. Now, this guy is my senator. I don't know where you guys live, but this guy is my senator for New York State. And he had the absolute audacity to get on the TV and say, no, we're not having any negotiations out in the public. Excuse me, let me look into the camera real deep and get real close to the microphone. Excuse me, Chuck Schumer, you're not having any negotiations about the government shutdown, which is affecting our whole country in public? Are you not in public office? Are you not our public representative? Like, what do you mean? You want to have it behind closed doors? He said this out his mouth. Go look it up online. Don't believe me because I'm telling you. I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm telling you. Go look it up. Like, it's crazy. Like, he said that out his mouth. Let's see. Somebody says, Alfredo says, Democrats don't want to vote to open. They don't want to vote to open, but more than that, they don't want you to know what's going on because they want to do deals behind closed doors, and that's very problematic. He also says, let's see what it says. That's what I tell people, but they seem that they don't understand. Yeah, it's a serious issue. A lot of people don't understand what's going on, and they don't want to hear what's going on. You know, that's why these important conversations are what we have to have. So share this video, get the message out there, whatever the case is. We got to have these important conversations. And people are like, well, Marcus, well, if this is the way that you feel, you don't really like the government or whatever, why are you running for the government? Hello, I'm conservative. I'm Republican. Why? Because Republicans and conservatives are about shrinking the government. They're about keeping the government out of your business. They're about faith, family, and freedom. They're about financial freedom. They're about all the things that you're taught are very, very important. They're about community. But, you know, the government is trying to strip all of that away. It's crazy to me. Then the same people will tell you out here, oh, a boy doesn't have to be a boy and a girl doesn't have to be a girl. What? And then you got people out there running around parroting this nonsense, talking about a boy doesn't have to be a boy and a girl doesn't have to be a girl. Who's stupid? Who's stupid? I'm not stupid. You must be stupid. You must be retarded or something. Talking about that a boy can be a girl. Who's stupid? You know, there's this very, very, what I would consider, I don't know how far left she is or whatever the case is, but there's this pretty far left lady that I know. And we were talking, and earlier she had said, you know, she said, no matter what you do, like a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl, you know, because you can't change your chromosomes and all of this and all of that. And I'm like, man, I said, I wish you would tell the rest of the leftists that. The more that I hear her talk and the more that she does talk, the more I think that she's more so somewhere that's a moderate than I do that she's a liberal. You know what I'm saying? But that's what a lot of these people on the left are. They're not far left. They've just been taken for what they can be, you know? Like they've been taken in by the atmosphere, by the spirit of now, by the wanting and longing to have some sort of feeling of association. And that's what this is all about. It's all about not only desensitizing you, but also lumping you into a group that is so diverse that you lose all individuality. That's what they want. They want to erase your individuality. If you haven't heard that today, this is a recurring theme that I keep talking about today. It's about your individuality, your individual sovereignty, your individual liberties and freedoms. It's all about you as an individual. They want to group you together as a collective. That's why they're pushing all this collectivism, the socialism, the communism. That's why they're doing all of this. That's why you look at these No Kings parades and it's the Queers for Palestine and the Islamists, and you got the climate change people, and you got the Save the Whales people, and you got the let people dance around in BDSM gear and let people have intercourse with animals, people. All of these people are all being grouped together for this ridiculous event. Why? None of those associations overlap. Why are they doing that? Because the more that they can force you together on things that are different and lump you all together, the less individual autonomy you have. And now in the alphabet people, specifically the L, G, and the B, are finding this out, because now they're saying that the L, G, and the B, okay, are all trans. Wait a second. How do you mean to tell me that all the gay people are trans now? That's what it is? Who made that decision for them? Did the gay council? Like we like to make jokes about the black council. There's no real black council, but there's no real gay council either. But did the gay council get together and say, yes, we hereby identify all as trans? Nobody did that. They didn't want that. That was forced on them. And they never saw it coming. Drink water, stay hydrated. And they never saw it coming because they eased it in there. They eased it in there. They eased it in there little by little by little by little. And now you got all the gay people talking about, wait a second, we can't align with that. That doesn't represent us. That's gender ideology. And we're talking about, what do you call it? We're talking about same-sex attraction. The gender ideology people are completely trying to get rid of sex and gender, so that thereby erases the lesbians and the gays and the bisexuals. So they're telling them that they're not even people, that they don't even exist anymore. How dare they? How dare they? You know, and after they fought so long to be equal, now the people that are pushing this trans agenda and gender ideology agenda are trying to push out the gays. Like, what's up with that? Somebody said, let's see who says this. Alfredo says they need Jesus. They don't know what they are, right? Yeah, that's part of the problem, because they've got these people that are pushing these things over and over and over again, and nobody's having a real conversation. And what happens when you try to have a conversation with them, y'all? What happens? They try to shut you down. Oh, you can't talk about that. Oh, you hate these group of people. You hate that group of people. Nobody got time to hate nobody. You know how much extra energy that is? You know what I'm saying? Or they'll say, oh, well, you're scared of these people. Ain't nobody scared of nobody. What are you talking about? Ain't nobody even thinking about nobody else. You know? But this is what they try to, this is a part of a, how do you say it? Like, part of a communist / socialist plan and agenda to push this nonsense to really soften the brain of individuals, because the less that you know and understand who you are, the less tethered you are to traditionalism, to actual fact, okay? To actual fact. And when I say fact, I mean facts from the Bible. Okay, facts of nature, because the facts of nature are the facts of the Bible. And all of it is to push you away from the Lord, our Savior, Jesus Christ, and from our Father who art in heaven. Okay? Like, let me have a real conversation with y'all. Like, this is so important for people to understand. Like, that's what all of this is about. Now they got this stuff talking about, oh, well, you can't check Benjamin Netanyahu about all of the evil stuff that he's doing. What do you mean? And if y'all don't know who Benjamin Netanyahu is, he's the current prime minister of Israel, right? But homeboy was a bad dude, y'all. Like homeboy was like real deep into the like what they would be for their Delta Force for Israel. Like he was doing some dirty, shady, terrible stuff. Okay. Then he's the head of the security agencies, Mossad, and the Mossad is the best covert intelligence. Like if you thought that the CIA was bad, these people is on a whole nother level. You understand what I'm saying? So, and now you can't question him because if you question him, it's anti-Semitism. If you say, oh, well, the government of Israel did something, oh, well, it's anti-Semitism. Well, wait a second. Most of the people in Israel are secular. Aren't even practicing Jews. They don't practice anything. They practice debauchery. You understand what I'm saying? They practice that alphabet stuff. They practice that free love stuff. They practice that drug stuff. They practice all this stuff, but they don't stick to scripture. Again, because it's a push away from the Lord our Father in heaven. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's what the whole thing is about. And there are certain people in certain positions in government all across the world that are pushing this whole end of times nonsense. He is one of them. Okay? All of these wealthy bankers, they are other people that are part of this cabal that are doing this to the people. All of these people in these so-called secret society type people, the Bilderbergs, the what are some of the other groups? I slip in my mind. I gotta listen them in my head. I can see it. But the Skull and Bones, all of these other organizations and stuff like this, even the Greeks, right? Even the pledges and stuff like that, like the college Greeks, not like the Greeks from Greece, but like the college Greeks and the black Greeks, you sometimes call them the boule. All of these people, like they're all in tow together. And what it is really is this compartmentalization, because you're like, well, how can all of these people be working together? Because it's only the people at the top that really know what's going on. And they're instructing all of the other groups to do other stuff. So when you look at the most wealthy and the most powerful people in the world, and you see that they're all laughing and getting along, and they all go to each other's weddings, and all their children go to the same boarding schools, and they all go to the same bank and stuff like that. Go look up the Panama Papers. Okay, go look up the Panama Papers. Go look up the Pandora Papers. Go look that up. You want to talk about all of these people being in the bed together? Go look that up. That's what they money. Go look at Pandora Papers, Panama Papers. There's one other one that is slipping my head right now, but go look those up. It'll show you really how deeply they're tied together. Let's see. Somebody said Alfredo said they started in Harvard. Yeah, there's a lot of those different, the Skull and Bones and stuff like that. And, you know, and it's you look at these other giant organizations like the World Health Organization and the what do you call it? The World Economic Forum and the, oh my goodness, what's it? Oh my goodness, there's another one, something for social change. I forget what it's called. It's slipping my mind right now. But you look at all of these different high-level groups that most of you guys probably haven't even heard of, or these different forums and stuff like that. And you look at all the people who are there, it's all the ultra wealthy who all control everything. They're all in it together. All the world leaders, they're all in it together. Like we might get lucky and we might have somebody who's less in it than everybody else. Like, for instance, like Ibrahim Traoré, okay, where he is down there, okay, in Africa, and with Senegal and the rest of those other countries that are trying to separate themselves from the Western influence and stuff like that, eventually they'll all be killed or co-opted. You know, it won't last very long because they're trying to get rid of them now. They've already tried to get rid of them. You know, they're going to keep trying until it happens because they got all the money and the power in the world. You know, it only takes an act of God to stop it from happening and, you know, and God's providence. But we can't have those serious conversations, you know. And then I think this is very important for everybody that's a Trump hater and everybody that's a Trump supporter. The other day he was on the plane and they were asking him about, oh, well, does he think he'll make it to heaven or whatever? He said, I don't know if I'll make it to heaven. I might be in heaven right now on this plane, or whatever the case is, because this might be it for me. Because he knows that he hasn't been perfect. He knows that he's not the best, but it also shows that he's probably not in with Christ the way that he should be. And we should all pray for his eternal soul and that he comes around. But the fact of the matter is that God uses imperfect people and imperfect vessels. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily good. Okay. You might even think that they're evil. Look at how many people in the Bible the Lord used that were actually out and out evil, you know? So he used them for his will. Like many times he had to punish Israel. And he even punished Israel with Judea more than a couple of times. So Judea came and hit up Israel a couple of times, more than a couple of times. But these are the situations that we have to have these conversations about. Like God will use anybody that he can to his plan. All things work to the pleasure of the Lord and to the goodness of the Lord, you know? Like, so we really all need to pray. We really all need to come back to Christ right now. We need to repent of our sins, and we need to go out and let people know what time it is and stand against the evil that is being cultivated in this world right now, because all of it is against the people. And I know that's not easy for a lot of people to hear. And I just been dropping bomb after bomb today all over the place. Like I got so many bombs today, it's like a carpet bomb. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. But we've been putting all of these things and pieces together, man. It's a lot. It's a lot going on. And I'm going to go back to this AI thing. Not only, and I'm not even talking about like the financial collapse that's coming. It's going to be a problem. Because what's going to happen is the financial collapse is going to happen, and then it's going to go boom, all in one day. Okay. Then the money's going to dry up. Nobody's going to be able to get any money. They're going to push you into the digital dollar. And then all of a sudden, you're not going to know what's going on. They're going to control all of your money and all of everything that you can do and everything like that. And it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a real problem. And people aren't going to know what to do. So they're just going to go along with it. And that's going to be pretty much it. At that point, the only way to change anything back or move forward is going to be through blood. And I, for the love of the Lord, don't want that to happen. Because at that point, it'll take so much to stand up and push back that people aren't going to be willing to make that sacrifice. We're going to have to pray that the hand of the Lord himself intervenes. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's the end times. It's the end times. So no, it's been the end times since Jesus died 2,000 years ago. Okay. The Bible says you don't know when it's going to happen. Nobody knows when it's going to happen. Even Jesus doesn't know when it's going to happen. Only the Father in heaven knows when it's going to happen. That's what the Bible says. Okay. So all of these people with, oh, it's the end of the world. No, stop perpetrating a false message that is not truthful. You don't know that. And that's part of the problem. What's happening is this. It's all of these people are trying to make it look like it's the end of the world. And if you just go along with it, you're going to be right accountable right with them. Jesus is going to spit you out like, I didn't even know you. And that's what's going on right now. With all of this evil, with all of this nonsense that's going on right now, they're trying to make it seem like it's the end of the world. So if you, having know the Bible, and you're seeing it and you're like, oh, all of these things are going on that are just like the Bible, and you're not pushing back, you are the problem. Stop being the problem, start being part of the solution, and start pushing back so that you can shine your light so that people can see that the darkness is actually there. So disgusting, it makes me want to spit. But this is the problem, you guys. We have to stand up now because there might not be a later. It's just going to get thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker. We already talked about all of the control mechanisms that are there. We already talked about all the control mechanisms. So what are we going to be able to do when they got them all in place and locked down? And speaking of lockdowns, the next thing that's coming soon is going to be climate lockdowns. Oh, you've overwhelmed, used your carbon limit, so we're going to have to shut you off. Why do you think that they're shutting down all of these energy projects? Why do you think they're shutting down all these natural gas pipelines in New York State, specifically where I am? I'm going to use this as an example. We get most of our energy from natural gas. Most of our electricity is natural gas. Why are they shutting all these things down? They don't have enough solar. to compensate for that, we're not even going to get into that today. Y'all know, you know the story behind that we've talked about before. But y'all don't have enough of that to do that. We don't have any new nuclear plants opening up. Oh, wait, they're shutting down nuclear plants, causing us to have a deficit in energy production. So now we have to buy energy from Canada, from Ontario, okay, from the Ford brother, the one that's not a crackhead, but is worse than the crackhead. I miss his crackhead brother. God rest his soul. The crackhead was better than this dude. That's a real fact. The crackhead brother used to be the mayor of Toronto. He was all right. I forget his name, but the other brother is like the governor. You know, I think they call him the premier, you know, of Ontario. Trash, super trash. Big major Bell's End, you know. But the fact of the matter is they're shutting down all this energy stuff, and you have to look at yourself and ask yourself why. Why is this being done? If they need housing, if we need housing, and now they're shutting down housing projects because they're like, oh, well, we won't be able to have enough energy to build this. They just shut down a whole project in Ontario County, which isn't close to where I am right now, but isn't too far, you know? So they shut down a whole development. They were like doing, like, you know, how they do the different, like, cul-de-sac. What do you call those developments? I think you just call them developments. You know, like one of those, you know what I'm talking about, one of them suburban little hidey hole neighborhoods. You know what I'm talking about. So, like, they just shut down a whole project for that because they're not going to have enough energy to power that. Make it make sense to me. So this is what's going on. It's all about power. It's all about control. It's all about pushing people into confined spaces and to contort them so that they're more amenable to the will of the government and they have no willingness to stand up or push back anymore. That's what they want. They want you to be completely hopeless. They want you to be completely faithless. Because if you lose hope and you lose faith, then you have nothing else that you can depend on. So you are like an empty vessel, and they will fill you with their own will. It's like how they break down those people that go through human trafficking, or like how they break down the people that they do in slavery, or like how they break down the people with the psychological operations programs and stuff like that. Like, this is what's being done to our people on scale of the world right now. It's a giant psychological operation against the people to turn them away from nature and Jesus Christ, as well as the Lord our Father in heaven. That's what it is. It's a push for massive evil to empower the evil and the unrighteous. And if we don't stand up and act like we know better and act like we have a pair, I don't know what to tell you. They already literally having people cut off their pair. Like, hello? Like, y'all ain't see that was a problem? You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to get stuff together. All right, you guys, if you're on the air with me, we're going to take off right now. We're coming up to the end of the show. Stay online if you're online with me real quick. But tell everybody that your friends, your family, your enemies, your neighbors, the people up the street, down the street, tell them tune into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3 FM, Mondays from 2:30 to 4 p.m. We are here having the conversations you need to hear, and make sure that you get out there and share. And if you're listening to us on the radio now, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Marcus C. Williams channel. All of the episodes of the show are on there. They're in their own playlist. They're in YouTube Music as their own podcast. Go check us out there. I'll catch you guys later. Y'all be blessed and be well. And remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. All right, you guys. Listen, as we have these serious, important conversations, right? Just understand that nobody is going to have these types of conversations. They're too tough. They're too hard. People will mock. People will ridicule you and stuff like that. My job is to be a light for the people and shine that light to show you that the darkness exists, and hope that I can inspire you to shine very bright so that other people can come to the light. Because right now there is so much darkness, there's so much evil going on in this world right now that if we don't stand now, we won't be able to stand later. You understand what I'm saying? It's like putting another stone on your back. more and more and more until it's the last straw that breaks the camel's back. But that's why we have to stand up now while we still can. I'll give you the best example I can. If you look at Nigeria, where Christians are being slaughtered, if you look at China, where Christians are being slaughtered, if you look at, Kenya, where Christians are being slaughtered, they're being slaughtered. We're not being slaughtered here right now. Well, maybe slowly, and maybe abortion, if you want to talk about those. Yes, that's 100% a fact. But we still have the ability to stand, and we need to now. Like, all of this stuff is tools that the people in power are using against us, and that's why we have to fight back. That's why we have to stand up, and we have to stand strong. We have to stand in conviction that we are pushing for righteousness, that we are pushing not only just to save our nation, but to return the souls of those who are lost to the Lord our Father. And I know some of you guys might not be religious or whatever, but I encourage you, go read the Bible, start with the New Testament, seek the Lord our Father, and he will show you the way to him. He will show you the way to him. It's amazing how many people are starting to come to Christ, especially in very Muslim nations. More people are coming because it is that time. It is that time. And we are called to be the light. If you even see, and you might not be Christian yet, but you see what's going on, we got to stand up. We got to stand up. Nobody is coming to save us. We have to. Now is the time, and it is up to you. Nobody's coming out the ground to save us. Nobody's coming out the sky to save us. Nobody's coming in on a white horse to save us. We are what's left. All of you listening within earshot, you are what's left. We must stand. And I encourage you, where you can make the biggest impact is at home locally. Whether you run for office locally, whether you help a candidate locally, whether you go to school board or to whatever you got where you are, county ledge, or whether you got, town council or city council, but you have to start getting active, start getting involved, because nobody is coming to save us. We have to see what's going on in the government, what the government is doing as they're rolling out this insanity, so that we can let other people know, because other people don't know. The best example I can give you is about a month and a half ago now, where I live, city council in Rochester, New York, they voted 9-0 that grown men can be in the bathroom with little girls and women, and that grown men can be in the showers with little girls and women at rec centers, at schools, at city pools. And it's crazy because in the legislation, it says in bathing facilities, but they didn't tell us that. And if I wasn't looking into the city council and the laws and legislation that they were passing, that would have went right by me, because they lumped it in with the sanctuary cities. But this is the evil that they're doing in the dark, and we have to be the light, to shine the light on it, to show it to the people, you guys. I need your help. So remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Action. Y'all be blessed and be well. I'll catch you next week.